So Matt, I see that shirt that you're wearing was from New
Funny
Orleans.
coincidence. Yeah, I didn't like wake up this morning and be like, I'm gonna wear my podcasting shirt. But yeah, this is from Unreal Fest, New Orleans of last year.
I
Pretty
didn't know
sweet
they had
shindig
that,
Epic
and
through.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
they
it's
had
like
that last year.
it was pretty cool. Yeah, it was it's a big like 3 day convention that Epic sets up where like there's a bunch of different talks on different like facets of Unreal Engine. And you meet like I met so many interesting people from like I met guys from like BioWare there. I met like some like Microsoft, a bunch of Microsoft AAA devs, and lots of interesting indie devs. It was a super cool event. I might go this year again too because it was really awesome.
That's awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Caleb Boudreau, the editor-in-chief of An Extraordinary Life Online, and as always, we have Kyle
Hi, this is Kyle, also known as Space Not Anywhere.
and Ryan,
Hi, I'm Ryan, or Release Radar on YouTube.
and our special guest is Matt.
Special guest.
I'm not sure if you want me to like throw your last name out there, but
No, that's fine. Matt Larrabee, developer of Severed Steel, on Twitter at MattWLA. Yeah.
yeah. So, Matt, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I guess you can call me an indie game dev. I launched my first game, Severed Steel, a couple years ago, and I appeared on your show was a different format then, but I appeared on it back then. Yeah. So I made like a first-person shooter, really fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled bullet time game. That was an Unreal Engine 4, and I'm working on my next game, Echo Point Nova, which is similar to Severed Steel in that it's like super fast-paced shooter. But now it's kind of more in like an open world setting. Severed Steel is like super tight, closed areas. My next game's open world, and it features co-op too. So I'm trying to take that like fast-paced action, like putting it in a different context.
Yeah, it would have been really
Yeah.
interesting to see Severed Steel with that fast-paced gameplay in a co-op format because it was a lot of fun. And for people who because we haven't made a video about it yet, it is featured in our 10 Hearts analysis as well as the intro title card for the podcast. The very first clip in the title card is footage from Severed Steel.
Nice.
So tell us a little bit about Echo Point Nova. That's an interesting
Yeah.
little project you got.
Yeah, it came out of. So it was kind of funny. I finished Severed Steel, and I started like mess with my next game, and it originally started off as like an open world RPG. Like I'm always trying to like my end goal, like my ultimate game is one day like an open world RPG, like in like the Elder Scrolls vein. But every time I start it, I get like 10% into it, and I'm like, oh geez, like this is insane. Like what am I doing? Like solo developing a Bethesda game? It's so stupid.
Yeah,
But
I
I keep on
remember.
like.
I remember what was the very first one that was on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can even see years ago.
Yeah.
It was called Greylock, and I always do that every few years. I start Greylock, which is like my ultimate RPG, and I always get a little bit into it. And I'm like, this is too much, and then I cut a lot of features back. So like the first time I did that, I ended up making Severed Steel. So I got too a little far, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should make a first-person shooter instead. So after I finished Severed Steel, I'm like, all right, like I'm a game dev now. I've launched a game. It's time to make a Bethesda game. And then I got a few months into it. And I'm like, geez, like I'm still not ready yet, but I think I am ready to make, if not an open world like RPG with like villages and NPCs wandering around. Like I think I am ready to make an open world game, but with Severed Steel's like tight paced combat format. So that was the birth of Echo Point Nova, where I made it far enough to my open world RPG where I had like a functional world, but then I took that world and I put fast paced shooter mechanics into it, and that resulted in what you see now. So it's like kind of like an open world Severed Steel.
Now, are the gameplay mechanics the same as Severed Steel, or are there changes to it, or?
There's it's interesting. There's a lot of parallels, but there's a lot of changes. So like Severed Steel had a Severed Steel's main move set was you could slide and you could dive. Those were like the two main like you could obviously run around like any other first person shooter game, but you could also slide and dive like a kick slide. So for this, I kind of swapped it out. The slide is instead it's like a hoverboard now. So when you press shift, a hoverboard appears beneath you. So that's like it's like an amped up version of slide. And then the dive is now a grappling hook.
Interesting.
So it's like the same. It's like I took those old moves and I tried to make them more versatile for the open world and for like bigger traversal. Plus, everyone wanted a grappling hook in Severed Steel. It was like a constant request. So like I couldn't make it work in Severed Steel, but I'm like, okay, maybe my next game I'll have a grappling hook.
Yeah, I wonder how that would work. So is Echo Point Nova still voxel based? Because I was wondering how that would work with voxel or with fully destructible voxel. If like a grappling hook would pull the wall down with it, like if it would be able to know the difference.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. I've messed with all sorts of versions of grappling hook. In one version, it did when you hit the wall, you destroy part of the wall, and surprisingly, people didn't like that. And I can't remember why, but I thought it was super cool. And then I gave it to friends to test, and I think it just messed with them. Like when they grapple, they wanted to move. Like they didn't want the world to change. Like they wanted like changing the world to be a separate thing. So now you just grapple hook just pulls you towards objects. I'm messing with like what happens when you grapple up an enemy though, and I'm messing now with when you grapple an enemy, you can pull them. But what happens sometimes is you're like falling and you want to grapple onto a platform. You shoot a grapple, but it hits the enemy instead. So then you both just fall into the abyss, and then it's like that's not what I wanted. So I'm messing with it now. I might make it so grappling enemies is optional. I'm playing with that now.
So are you still planning on doing the entire game by yourself, or are you bringing in? Because I know you brought in people for some of the. Well, you brought in people for the music. And some of the designs, and I know the guns were Marketplace, right? For Severed Steel?
It's an awfully similar team, the Severed Steel. I have the same guy on music, Floating Door, and one of the same guys on levels, Seahunger. He helped me design. So Severed Steel had a big campaign extension pack a few months after launch. So someone who helped me build that expansion pack is working on the levels for this. And Adam, who helped me with some of the UI design in Severed Steel, is also back for this. So like, it's a lot of my little help. I don't want to say like, I'm proud to be like an indie dev, and I'm proud that I work on this project a lot. But there's definitely like people who are like crucial to the success. Levels and music are super important.
Yeah, you can.
So some of those guys are coming back.
I have some things that I want to throw out real quick.
Sure.
Co-op is definitely something I appreciate because not a lot of games do co-op as often as like co-op used to be big in the 2010s. Almost every game had co-op. Right? And as somebody who I'm not super into hyper competitive multiplayer shooters, they're fun to play every now and again. But sometimes I just want to kick back with friends and just play something chill like Borderlands or the Halo games together. And then Halo also ties into the grappling hook mechanic because the new Halo game, Master Chief has a grappling hook.
Yes.
And the thing is, he's a big dude with a suit of armor that weighs a lot, but you can grapple onto a grunt. And no matter what, you always go towards the thing you grapple. The thing that you grapple never comes towards you. And so one way to fix what you said that I could think of is just like having a toggle, right? You press one button to bring to you or one button that brings you to it. So you always have the choice.
Mm-hmm. So you always know what to expect if you know which button you pressed.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite was the infinite grappling hook was. I thought that grapple hook felt super intuitive.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, you learned like it took like a second to learn. So I messed with that one a lot in figuring out this one. But I feel like co-op. It's such a rare feature now. And when it is, so I think when a game has co-op now, it's like front and center. It's like
oh yeah,
it's like you're Back for Blood or you're like Destiny, where it's like if you're not playing co-op, the game sucks. But
Yeah,
I
it's
feel
like one of the core things.
Exactly.
I hate that about modern co-op games.
Yeah, but back in the day, like I feel like it used to be like co-op was like just a fun thing on the side. Anyways, the way I'm designing this is ideally like it is. The focus is like a cohesive single player experience, but then there's like co-op is like a bonus. Like if you want to play with friends, like you can play it with friends. So I'm not doing any of like the forced like Left 4 Dead, which I love, has all sorts of forced co-op mechanics, like all the different guys who can grab you, and then your character just like flops around until like your friend like rescues you. Like I'm trying to avoid all mechanics like that. Co-op's just like a fun bonus. It's not like essential.
So with that in mind, you mentioned this would be open world. So is it going to be like open world without? I think there's a technical word for it, but bungee cording. Whenever you get too far away from your partner, like it pulls you closer.
Yeah.
Or is it going to just be massive levels that feel open world, kind of like the Tomb Raider games?
So I'm avoiding bungee cording as much as possible. I haven't had to do it yet. The way it's worked so far is the whole world's open. You can go every player can go wherever you want. But when you want to start, like there's certain like key combat like I guess missions or quests. And to do a quest, you all have to like get together and stand at like the quest start point, and then the quest starts. And the reason is because it's a technical reason, because like the quest battles, there's just so many enemies, and with the destruction, there's so much destruction going on. You can't have players like wandering on the other side of the world while like the host server is trying to like run all the CPU processes it needs for the quest thing. So the only time players are forced to go together is to like start a quest. But other than that, they can wander around as much as they want.
Okay, so it's kind of like Dead Island 2's co-op, where the main objectives you all need to be together to do it, right?
Okay, I haven't played Dead Island 2, but yeah.
Really, it's
No.
a good game, but yeah, no,
I don't think
that's
you're
how they
missing
do it.
much.
I mean, it's so the Dead Island 2 is not like a deep philosophical story like Red Dead Redemption 2 that's going to change your worldview and make you feel emotions. It's just fun to run around and kill zombies.
Yeah, but it's got that aspect where, like, Ryan and I played the whole entire campaign together. You're locked into your own like map of the bigger map, but you're able to be on one side of the map while your buddy is on the other side.
Yeah.
But the only way to continue the story is you both have to come together to an objective point for it to
And
actually
a nice
start.
quality of life thing with that is that you can just press a button and teleport directly to the player who's already at the objective, so you don't have to run all the way there.
Yeah. Yeah, so one thing I'm trying to design to avoid is I hate the feeling of being in a co-op game and being the person who's like dragging the team down. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you go down and then like the zombies are swarming you and your friend's on the mic like, oh geez, you're down again, and then like they have to go rescue you, and then they all die rescuing you, and then the end over screen comes up and everyone just kind of knows it was your fault. Like I'm trying to
If you weren't that slow.
yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to make it like a really like low stress combat. Like, yeah, you can, if you want to, you can fast travel to any friend you want. If there's no like down, like if you go down, your friends don't have to rescue you. Like if you die, you just respawn at the last fast travel point. Like I'm really trying to avoid the feeling of being like the shitty player. Yeah, so hopefully that works. There's a demo next month, by the way. So all these ideas I'm saying, I have no idea if people will like them or not. We'll see next month if people like them.
I've actually just been scrolling through your Twitter, looking at all the little clips that you have uploaded here.
Cool.
The movement of it's kind of reminding me of like Get to the Orange Door, where it's like you want to get from one point to the other as quick as possible for that game specifically, but it's this always like hyper movement that you have. Because I'm looking at one clip here where it looks like you're sliding across with the hoverboard, and you come up and you just kick a guy in the head.
Yes. That was a beloved clip.
Yeah. I love the movement style of it. It looks really good.
Thank you. Yes, tons of time, late nights, just like there's so many variables to tweak for movement, and just like Alt tab, tweak a variable, alt tab back, see how it feels. It's just like hours and hours of that, just till it feels like really satisfying.
Now, can you slow down time similar to Severed Steel did?
So Severed, yeah, you can slow down time. In Severed Steel, you had tons of bullet time, and it was bound to like right mouse button by default. So like whenever you wanted bullet time, it was right there for as long as you wanted. But I don't in co-op. That might be really frustrating if your friend is just like always spamming this bullet time. So what I'm trying to do is some enemies, when you kill them, they drop little lightning bolts, and if you collect enough lightning bolts, you can trigger like a little 3-second slowdown window. And my idea is that is enough so your friends won't get annoyed about you spamming slow motion. That's a big part of the test next month. I don't know how players are going to feel about that. I don't mind it, and so far my friends who have played it don't mind it, but I don't know how like the masses will respond to because it's weird when bullet time triggers and you didn't trigger it.
Yeah.
So it's going to take testing.
What would be an interesting concept? I don't know if this is workable, but if it would be like isolated to a small area, similar to how, not that Jedi Survivor is by any means co-op, but whenever you I forget the stance it is, but R3 L3, and you like slow down around you to get 1 or 2 hits in, and then everything speeds up, but it seems like it does it in a sphere.
Mm-hmm.
If that would be something possible where it just slows you down in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So it would only activate for your buddy if they're in that sphere type of thing.
Yeah, localized slow-mo might be the solution. It's gonna take experimenting to figure out what stresses people at the least.
Even if it's like an add-on option later on, that might be an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I have a question about that idea.
Sure.
Because, like, let's say your friend was in that bubble of slow motion. Would the enemies also be moving slow in that bubble for you, even though you didn't trigger bullet time?
Yeah, I think it would.
So
it would slow everything down. It would slow everything in the sphere down. Is my idea, but I don't know how to do anything.
But if the other player's outside of the sphere and they're going fast pace and they turn a corner and everybody's just moving in super slow motion, that would be a little weird.
Well, I mean, if it's similar to how Survivor did it, it would be like everything in that sphere, like it shows like a dome around it. So it would be obvious, like, hey, this is
the slow motion zone.
Once again, I don't do game dev, so I have no idea how hard that is to implement.
I just played a lot of games, so I can just think of ways that it would be a little weird.
Yeah, it's just one of the. I think I might have to try different things. Like one thing I've learned in game dev is just like you can think a feature works, but then you try it and players hate it. Or you think a feature's not gonna work, but then like players love it. So like I didn't like the game has a hoverboard, and I kind of tossed it in as like an afterthought a little bit, and then like my friends are playing it, and they're like hoverboard's the best part. I'm like, what? Like I thought people would hate it, so now it's become like because their feedback has been elevated. So I found that I really don't know how a feature's gonna go until like people actually play it.
Yeah, wasn't it 6-axis control on Severed Steel that you weren't sure was going to work correctly, and then but it was could be thinking of something else, but I think it was someone from Reddit had recommended or had pitched the idea. You're like, I don't think this is really going to work, and you put it in and it just blew everyone away. The flip, like you have a full 6-axis of control.
Yeah, a Reddit commenter suggested I let people flip. And I'm like, I guess I'll try it, and it became like a signature feature of the game. So thank you, Reddit commenter. Very nice of them.
That it reminds me of another game that I found on Reddit. They since had to change the name of the game.
Is it Super Thought?
Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know Eric, the creator, and that was the name was a point of contention. Sometimes.
Wait, what was the name?
Super Thought.
Super.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was a woman in like lingerie or a bikini, and like you just go around with a katana, just like cutting people in half.
So
in slow motion.
Was the name a point of contention because it sounds too much like super hot, or was it because of the word thought?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Mm.
Yeah. Like he'd post the game, people would be like, the footage is great, but the title makes me uncomfortable. Which is funny, like the title makes you uncomfortable. There's like a woman wearing nothing, like just covered in blood.
It's just virtue signaling. I don't even think they really care that much. They're just finding something to complain about.
What, a Reddit comment section? Finding something
yeah.
to complain about? What?
Wow.
All right.
It's not the Reddit I know.
So what is going on with that game? Because I reached out to him to talk to him about it, and I joined like the his Discord for it, but I hadn't reached out in a while because he wanted some time to work on it.
It's on. He posts that stuff on Twitter all the time. I think the game's called Super Elite now, by the way. And I think if you search Twitter, you'll find it.
I see it there. Yeah, Super 1337.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems to be. I haven't checked on it in a bit, but last I saw it was buzzing along, making progress.
Let's see here.
That's cool. All right.
So
do we want to jump into other topics?
Yeah. So there was one topic that I heard come into question quite a bit in like the YouTube gamer. What's the word? Commenters sphere. Like commentary, Moist Critical, Some Ordinary Gamers, things like that, where they're not fans of Unreal Engine games on PC because of shader caching, like games like Callisto Protocol and all of that, because it just doesn't cache the shaders correctly, and it leads to horrible times. And first impressions. How does that kind of work, since you have experience with the engine firsthand?
Yeah, it's an interesting problem, and so the solution. There's a few solutions. The official solution is, well, there's a lot of ways to break it down. The first thing is it's less of an issue if you run the game with DirectX 11. DirectX 12, the way they change things is, in theory, it performs better, but your computer has to do a little bit of work. Whenever your computer encounters a new particle effect or a new whatever, like something shiny, it has to take a little moment to like process it and get like that shader ready. And if you are a very thorough developer, what you do is you try to make sure that before the player encounters that shiny new object, somewhere in the past you like intentionally have the computer prepare the shader. But when the computer only has to do that once, and then it's smooth. So I think what happens is all the machines these game devs test the game on have already encountered the shader thousands of times. So on like the developer's computer, it's fine. Like the game runs 60 frames per second. Because they haven't run it on a new computer in like months, and then they ship the game, and all of a sudden tons of players are playing for the first time, and then they encounter the issue. So the one way to what games, and it's not, the funny thing is Unreal, it's not something you realize, like it's not obviously talked about in the engine. It's kind of like, it's just like a little known secret that just recently exploded. But the way you're supposed to fix it is, you're supposed to like play through the game with this special logging tool that logs every time the shader is compiled. And then you take that list, and then somehow when you package the game, you can include special instructions to like compile these shaders. But anyway, this is a long way of saying that the funniest possible fix is in the main menu, where players can't see. You have like a wall, and then you put every shader in the game behind the wall. So when the player first loads the game and it loads the main menu, there's one hitch in the main menu where it compiles all the shaders. And then when the player plays the game, it runs okay. Yeah.
That's a smart way of doing it.
I think Call of Duty does that
with their
after every
caching.
update. Yeah.
Yeah, they do that.
Compiling shaders, yeah.
Yeah, Unreal doesn't have any.
Restart.
Unreal doesn't have any built-in easy. Like every developer has to have their own hack to deal with it. So it's kind of like a weird thing about Unreal Engine. Because other than that, it's a great. I mean, it's a great engine, but it's just a random thing that's like giving it a bad name right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
It's a
I
beautiful
kind of
engine.
want to.
Well,
I kind of want to jump in. Oh, Kyle, you can go.
I was gonna ask, are you on 4 or are you on 5?
I'm on 4.
Okay.
I get tempted to swap to 5 sometimes, but a lot of
It
like
didn't go too well.
well, a lot of the really fancy features, like the new lighting stuff, it doesn't work with my destructible voxel terrain because a lot of it all has to be prepared beforehand. But with my destructible terrain, anything can change at any second. So it doesn't adapt to that well.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, maybe future engines will be more flexible with like stuff happening as on the fly.
Yeah,
it looks beautiful though.
That makes a lot of
cool
sense.
Engine. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
With Echo Point Nova, are you staying with your publisher, or are you going full indie and publishing it yourself this go around?
I'm still feeling that out. I'm leaning towards full indie, but I also want to launch this Next Fest demo and then see like kind of like what the feedback is, and if publishers are interested, at least talk to them. But I'm pretty tempted to go full indie. I think I learned a lot from Severed Steel, enough to launch it myself. Except for if there is a console port, you pretty much need a publisher. Like coordinating with Nintendo and Microsoft is like a full-time job. Like they have so many requirements and there's so much paperwork that I need a publisher.
Yeah, just whatever you do, don't use Nintendo as a publisher, because if people play your game, if Nintendo publishes it, they'll just copyright strike you and kick you off of Twitch.
Are they still doing that?
So
Yeah.
they actually did that to Alana Pierce.
Really?
Yeah, she was watching
too.
Yeah, she was watching and get this, the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. Not like leaked gameplay, nothing like that. The trailer on stream, they copyright struck her and took her off of Twitch completely for like a day or two before Twitch reviewed it.
Damn.
I think
funny.
that Nintendo, personally, like, it is free advertising when a streamer with 100,000, 20,000, however many viewers watches your thing. Every single person in that stream who might not even know or maybe even cared about Tears of the Kingdom is now being told about the game, maybe for the first time. It is free advertising. I don't understand why Nintendo is so butthurt about people streaming and playing their games. Like, I'm sorry, it's not like the Switch is the most powerful device in the world. A lot of people would rather watch somebody play it than play it themselves because the Switch is an outdated Android tablet from 2015. Like,
Yeah.
He doesn't seem salty at all, does he?
Nintendo makes me so mad.
As an
Just
indie
bring the
dev,
games to
we're like,
PC.
As an indie dev, we're like begging people to stream our games. Like, please stream the game. And then Nintendo's like,
Like,
suing
cover our
people. That'd be hilarious if someone like Voice Critical streamed Echo Point Nova and I like sued them. I'm like, how dare you?
How dare you give
Publicize
free
my game.
advertising to your 15 million subscribers on YouTube? How could you?
Yeah.
Well, didn't that happen with Firewatch? Back in the day, didn't Firewatch's devs like sue the streamer that made it popular?
Oh,
I did not hear that.
I don't remember if they did.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna
Firewatch creators target PewDiePie with DMCA takedown, and it's perfectly legal. This is published by Polygon. I'll post the article in the gaming podcast topics chat.
I guess, like, not that I think it was the right move, but if I had to guess, their thinking is because it's such a story. It's a short story-driven game.
Mm-hmm.
To them, it would be like posting a movie to YouTube. Like, it would be like, it's like the whole point of the game is to experience the plot.
Yeah,
true.
So, but I'm not saying it was the right move. I'm just trying to guess.
This was back in 2017 as well. This was a while ago. But like, I can interject with, like, a lot of people might not be in the financial situation where they could just go out and buy whatever game they want. And so being able to watch a creator or an influencer that they enjoy just play the game themselves, and you get to, it's kind of like, and this sounds depressing because you don't know the person, but it's like watching a friend play the game, right? Like, you get to experience their reaction and react to the way they experienced it. Like I watched PewDiePie all the time growing up, and like I wouldn't play Amnesia myself because I didn't have a computer that could run it. But I would watch him play the scary games, or I would watch him play like Outlast or Happy Wheels or whatever. It was just more fun that way than playing it myself.
Yeah.
So that's
I'm obviously, if anyone wants to stream any of my games, do it, please.
I actually just installed it on my deck. I just installed it on my deck.
Oh, nice.
So I can play it right after we're done here.
Cool.
So speaking of like wanting to play games, do you guys have any like upcoming like this is what I really want to play?
Starfield and GTA 6.
Yeah.
GTA 6 is one of them. Me personally, no, because the games that I want to play are already out. But
Yeah, the backlog. I'm more focused on my backlog than like the future. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the game. I'm working through Tears of the Kingdom now, which is good. I just don't have the time I used to like. It's absurdly huge. I can't believe my quest log. I don't know. Have you guys been playing that at all? Tears of the Kingdom? Is that your 5?
Ryan, you have, right?
Is it your?
I mean, so
not into
my
it?
thing about
No, I'm not
Tears of the
getting
Kingdom. So I think charging $70 for a Switch game is kind of absurd because it's a.
They went for it.
But it's not like $70 is the next gen price tag, and I also think that there's like some negative, like just consumers have negative thoughts when they see the $70 price tag because that's also what Redfall launched at, which was $70, and that's also what Jedi Survivor launched at, which was $70, and both of those just didn't really work or just weren't fun. Like you can't Jedi Survivor, they fixed it. I played it. It was actually really good. Like
That's
I
what
was
I'm playing
mad
through
because
now.
I wanted to play. Isn't it so? I'm such a Star Wars nerd, so it's such a good game. But Redfall, there's just I don't understand how Arcane could go from Dishonored and even Deathloop, which wasn't personally my favorite thing ever because I don't like the concept of being invaded, but it was still fun. And like those two games were good, but then they give us Redfall. And circling back to like what game I'm anticipating, like Starfield. I've talked about it a bunch. I don't want to talk about it too much today, but like there's pressure on Bethesda to release a really good game because everything Xbox has come out with, like Halo Infinite was cool, but it's gone. Nobody plays it anymore. And Redfall kind of sucked. And those are like Forza Horizon 5 is good, but isn't that also on last generation consoles? Like, well, I guess so. Is Redfall on last gen or is Redfall next gen PC only? I don't actually know.
I think it's next gen and PC only.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad considering it doesn't really look like it would be that demanding on the hardware.
Yeah. They just slapped the $70 price tag on it.
I hate that $70 price tag.
It's
I don't know the last time I spent
so
$70.
I'm not a game developer, but like I've looked into a lot of stuff when it comes to game design, and you could provide some insights on this, Matt. But it's like game design is more expensive and it's bigger than it's ever been in the AAA space. Like making like think of like Mario 64 versus Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
The big advancements in technology just between those two games alone. And those are like, what, only 20 years or so apart?
Yeah.
And so gaming it's just become a huge production. It used to not be, but now it's kind of like making a movie. You need motion capture if you want to have good quality cutscenes because that's the standard now. You need good voice actors. You need good lighting. You need the game to be optimized. You need to port it to Xbox and PC and PlayStation if it's not an exclusive. Like, you need to have a good story. And most games nowadays are open world, and that probably takes time to make unless you procedurally generate it. But even if you do that, you need to take the time to go through the world to make sure nothing's broken. Like,
games are much more complicated now. But so one thing is that if you adjust for inflation, like the N64, like games were expensive back in the day. Like I did a quick Google, like I guess Zelda Ocarina of Time's MSRP on launch was $60. So that was $60 in like 90s money. So like adjusted for inflation, it's pretty damn expensive. I don't know offhand. So I almost wonder like $70 seems really high, and I'm not saying they should do it, but maybe we've been spoiled with cheap games for a while, and like 70 is what it should be. Sorry, that's like probably the last thing anyone wants to hear.
Well,
I just did the research, and it's about $140 of today's money for $60 in like the 90s. Like, so I'm happy games aren't $140. Like,
yeah,
I can say that. Like,
I don't know.
See, I think everybody, or a good chunk of people's biggest problem is that they don't think that standardized game prices should be a thing. So, like, an 8-hour experience is $60, and a 60-hour experience is $60. So it's like, why, if I can get 60 hours of gameplay for my $60, why am I paying $60 for an 8-hour experience?
I actually made a video on this topic on my other channel, just talking about why games, I think, like, from the consumer's perspective, I don't think that games being $70 is necessarily fair for some titles, just like Caleb pointed out, because there are some titles that are rushed, undercooked, underdeveloped. We'll fix it later, $70. Like, I just
I hate that.
The quality of AAA gaming for a lot of titles has decreased, but they want us to pay more for overall less quality. And the state of Jedi Survivor and Redfall is just proof that even big AAA companies can't get their games to either be fun like Redfall or work like Jedi Survivor upon launch.
And not to bring us back into the sphere of ArcTube, but just the what Matt, have you heard what they're doing with Arc Survival Ascended?
We're not an ArcTube channel. Stop.
We're not, but
they're
basic. Like a quick recap, they're basically Arc 2 is supposed to be coming out. So in order to commemorate it, they're going to be re-releasing Arc 1 on Unreal Engine 5.
Interesting. Okay.
But they're going to... The original announcement was everything was going to be free. The upgrade was going to be free.
Okay.
Then they changed it to $50 for the base game and $20 for each expansion.
Uh-huh.
And then now they're throwing the expansions in it and selling it for $40.
So it went up and then down? Or what's...
Yeah.
I'm confused. Okay.
But they originally said it was going to be free, which is the reason consumers are mad. Because, like, hey, this thing's going to be free. Actually, it's going to be $70 if you want everything. You know, 40 is better than 70.
$90 originally.
I'm liking that $25 mark.
Yeah, for a game that came out buggy, and they kind of fixed a lot of the bugs, but, like, it's still a really buggy game. And then they're re-releasing it without fixing the original, and then they're taking down the original servers, like the official servers. So you have to go to like a unofficial server to do it, and then you have to deal with those moderators, and it's just
there's like
one thing
so
that hasn't been mentioned yet, though.
Yeah,
they're bringing it from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5, so there is an engine swap that's happening. It's not like they're re-releasing the game on the same engine; like they are porting it to Unreal Engine 5 from 4.
Yeah, it might look great. We'll see what the final product is, because a lot could also break. Like, that's not an easy swap. So we'll see
and
how
with
it goes.
when you look at how bad or how many breaks it had, even with the original launch,
I could barely run it when it first came out. I bought it, and like, granted, my computer back then had a 760 in it, but like I could barely run the game. Like, it just wouldn't work.
Well, even looking at
Arc has high requirements. It's a pretty tough game.
Yeah, and even looking at Atlas, which was their other game where you were pirates.
I forgot about that.
Didn't that flop?
It did flop, and it was a lot because of how, because a lot of people were excited for it.
The game is $10 now.
With as many problems as it had at launch, it's like, okay, if your track record is Ark Survival Evolved, launches with a bunch of problems, they kind of got fixed over time, then Atlas came out with a bunch of problems, kind of got fixed over time, but still flopped, and I think it got abandoned completely. I could be wrong about that. And then here we are re-releasing it and porting it over to a new engine, which could all have its own problems and everything. So I think that, like you said, there's just a lot of ways that people can whether rightfully or not rightfully, be upset about all of it.
Yeah. But that's what you asked earlier. What games I was looking forward to? One of my backlog. I don't know if you guys have seen Shadows of Doubt. It's like a PC.
Oh,
it's really,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
The voxel PI game.
Yeah, you're like a private investigator in this it's like classic 1920s cool private investigator meets cyberpunk and like this procedurally generated city where every citizen you can enter any building. Like I played the demo for a bit and there'll be like a 20-floor apartment building. You can go on any floor. Every room is visitable.
Cool.
Every object you can play with, and every citizen is living a simulated life where they eat and sleep and go to work. And it's just like mind-bogglingly complex, and you're like solving murder mysteries in this.
I'm gonna wish list
world.
that now.
It looks sick. I have not had time to check it out, but it's one of those on my backlog. It's in my backlog burning. So
yeah, well, that's
it's
kind of why I love this.
Fireshine.
That's why I love the Steam Deck, because it's really a backlog crusher. Like I've been playing through Borderlands the pre-sequel on the deck because that's a game that I've never sat down and actually finished it, because when it first came out, I was a little disappointed that it just felt like reskinned Borderlands 2, because the jump from 1 to 2 is massive, but then the pre-sequel runs in the same engine. It's got the same art style and everything. So when I was a kid, I'm just like, well, this is just Borderlands 2.1. I don't care. But now I'm like, okay, I was stupid. This is actually really fun.
I finally beat Journey on my Steam Deck last week.
Ooh.
That game's like a decade old or something, but
I watched PewDiePie play.
Finally got around to it. Beautiful game. It was beautiful.
Journey.
I'm really looking for the Journey soundtrack on vinyl, honestly. The composer, what was his name? He's on Play Watch Listen, the podcast. I can't remember his name at the moment.
That's Alana Pierce's podcast, right?
Yeah. I listened to it. It's her. Oh God, now I'm gonna forget all of their names.
I don't know his name, but he was in the show iZombie. That's all I know him from. And then I saw him in the podcast. I'm like, oh, I know you.
But like the
game thought process.
So it's her. She's a video game writer. I'm gonna forget his name, but he plays as Joel. He's in everything. But I'm having Troy Baker, a game developer. He's the one that did John Wick Hex, and then a video game composer, which is the composer behind John Wick Hex, I believe, and Journey, and a few others.
All right, Google's got to chill. You said John Wick Hex, and I typed in John, and it pulled that game up immediately. Well, that was instant.
They're listening.
I was like, I feel like I know this game, but I don't know it. So let me look it up. And it was just first thing that popped up before I even finished the word John.
Okay. I want to jump in real quick to a topic that I just remembered earlier, and I sent it in the chat while we were all talking. Supposedly, the Xbox Game Showcase for 2023 has leaked. And, this could be completely fake, right? It's just somebody pulling out a bunch of games that Xbox has showed or talked about before, so some of these probably will be there. Mm-hmm. But the list is Avowed, Starfield, Fable, State of Decay 3, Hollow Knight Silksong, Overdose, Everwild, Quake, which is interesting. Are they going to remaster Quake? Hellblade.
Well, they
2.
did do Quake 2 RTX. Where they redid it with ray tracing. Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. Destroys my 2080 Super, but it is beautiful.
Sorry, I just realized they misspelled Silksong, by the way.
I know.
Oh, so this is fake.
Yeah, but I still want to read the list. Contraband, Killer Instinct, Wolfenstein 3, Forza Motorsport, Midnight, Fallout New Vegas 2, which, I mistalk sometimes. But Fallout New Vegas 2 is the one that got everybody talking about this. Because it could happen. Because aren't Obsidian and Bethesda both under Microsoft?
They are.
This is like the first time since New Vegas came out that I would be happy with a New Vegas remaster, because I'm trying to play New Vegas. I've never played it before, and I'm trying to play through it, but the game has aged, and I don't have that nostalgia factor for the game, and so it just feels clunky. Like I tried, I couldn't even get into 3. Like I tried, but I couldn't do it.
I have that problem with the original Tomb Raider games. because I didn't play them as a kid, but I've been told multiple times, they're like, dude, you have to play the original Tomb Raiders. So I'll go back and I'll play like the first 2 levels, and I'm like, okay, no,
those
good.
old platformers have not aged well, except maybe like Mario 64 Mario 64 is probably still fun, but that's probably about it.
I can play Mario 64 for hours. Like, whenever they released the Super Mario 3D All-Stars,
I never got that. I was so mad.
Wait, was that limited?
That was a limited release without them telling anyone it was a limited release.
Yeah.
Which I think they still have some
thing to do.
Right. I think they still have some physically over here, Kyle. If you want one, just let me know. I'll trade you. Yeah, I'll let you know, and then whenever you ship me the LTT store screwdriver case, then I'll ship it back in the same box.
Well, speaking of LTT, did y'all see that Linus is stepping down as CEO of Linus Media Group, Floatplane, and Creator Warehouse, and he's bringing in his old CEO from
Terran Tong.
NCIX? Yeah.
Come on,
I don't think he was. No. I don't think he was a CEO at NCIX. He was just high management.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he worked for Corsair, and Dell.
Well, Corsair makes sense because their logo's a sailboat. I can understand the disconnect there.
But my favorite part was yes, Kyle?
Real quick, just to make you jealous.
Ooh, that was crisp.
Yeah. Nice clamp.
Okay, continue with the Corsair.
But yeah, basically, they worked together at NCIX. But my favorite part was the roast of Linus Sebastian, where they had like an entire roast, and it was
dude, yeah, I remember that.
Man.
Sponsored by Madrina's Coffee, which I don't even think they're sponsored by anymore.
No, they're not.
Even his wife made, the little joke, if you know what I mean.
Everybody, I mean, that's the go-to joke against a guy, though.
Yeah, fair.
Haha. All right, I want to bridge us into another topic then, because I do want to get Matt's just perspective on it. But we talked about this earlier. It's the Overwatch 2 developers cut the PvE experience, which, as somebody who really enjoyed Overwatch, it was kind of the whole reason that it was Overwatch 2. Because Overwatch 2 without the PvE experience is just a glorified update where they enhanced the graphics, picked a player out of each team, and added a couple new heroes. And that's kind of it. And they slapped it.
And it's free to play now.
But it has battle passes that nobody wanted. You used to be able to earn all of the cosmetics for free, but now you can't unless you pay for the battle pass.
I'm done with Overwatch.
I uninstalled after hearing that they canned the mode that they promised. And so,
I stopped after they made 2.
Yeah, but video game marketing to me just seems like a very unique beast because video games are always shown off before they're done. Right. They always talk about things that aren't even working yet. And so, they promised this back in 2019 before the pandemic hit, and I don't know if that was a big factor, but then there was also all of the legal situations going on at Activision Blizzard, and they were in the middle of trying to be acquired by Microsoft. There was so much happening at that company all at once that all of these factors definitely probably played a part in the axing of the PvE experience. But as a consumer, I don't care. You promised me this game mode, and you're not delivering it, and so I'm mad at you.
Yeah. I would love to know, I have the same feeling about it with Redfall, where, you have a lot of money, you have an experienced team, both the developers and the executives are experienced, you have all the ingredients, and then somehow it just doesn't come together. And, I really want to know, what is, what happened? Who to blame? Where does the fault lie?
So the difference with Arcane with Prey or with not Deathloop.
I love
Redfall. Redfall is it was developed by Arcane Austin and not their other Arcane branch, which is the one that made Dishonored. So Arcane Austin
did Prey, I think.
Did they really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Feel free to verify. I think Arcane Austin did Prey, which I personally loved.
And which if I'm not mistaken, had working shadows. And not was a good just game. Flat mirrors.
Dude, Prey is in my backlog. I still haven't finished it.
I mean, I think it's great. It's probably not for everybody, It does have some flaws. The combat's not great. If you like combat, it's iffy. But if you like exploring an environment, the environment design is incredible, and the movement feels great. They've really tuned like sliding around and climbing stuff. It feels phenomenal, and it runs beautifully. So that Prey was on CryEngine, and so they swapped engines for Redfall to Unreal Engine 4, and maybe there were some growing pains there.
See, my conspiracy theory about the whole game is that someone at Bethesda corporate wanted a Back for Blood or Left 4 Dead style game in their portfolio.
Oh, and they forced the 4.
And they were like, just go ahead. You guys can do this. And then, like, because it just, looking at the gameplay, watching, like, because if you go behind, like, a box or a forklift, the vampire can see you. He will react to you being there, but he doesn't know how to get around it. And if you crouch down, he'll just forget that you're there altogether and like turn around and walk away like he wasn't even hungry in the first place. Like, it just seems so uninspired. Like they were forced to just do it and get it out, and now it's becoming a problem.
And games like Redfall are reasons why consumers don't like the $70 price tag. Because I saw this post on Reddit where it was like a list of things to look for when you're buying a AAA game. And if it has these things, avoid the game. And the $70 price tag was on that list. And his reasoning was Redfall. And there was another game that kind of sucked that I can't remember off the top of my head that launched at $70 recently. The game absolutely flopped. Not Jedi Survivor. That's a good game, and they fixed it by now. But it wasn't recent. Yeah, I beat the game finally.
Oh, nice.
I beat it last week. It took like a week for them to fix everything. Like I've got a 4090 in my PC, and they were blaming people having high-end hardware for like not being able to run the game or something.
Yeah, they were like, okay, why are you running high-end hardware on Windows 10? That's why you're having all these problems. And it's like, hey, clearly it's Windows 11. So please tell me again how that's the issue.
Yeah, I actually just installed Windows 11 because my computer gave me a little notification in the bottom corner that it's free to upgrade. I'm just like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, mine will be Windows 11 soon.
We were talking about games with... Hey, I've been...
scary.
I've been running it since it was in like the testing phase. I like it. But,
really?
No, I've been running it for,
my laptop has
2 years now, maybe? 2 or 3? But we were talking about games that had canned things. Ryan, what about Fortnite Save the World?
Oh, wow.
They give me crap for okay, so
I paid for
Fortnite,
it.
I wanted... So, only reason
Fortnite
I didn't...
came out with the Battle Royale, Kyle and I each bought Save the World because I liked a game called Orcs Must Die 2, and Fortnite Save the World really reminded me of Orcs Must Die 2, and this was before 3 came out, which 3 was fun. I beat the entire thing on my Steam Deck, but Orcs Must Die 2 was a game that I really enjoyed. It was like simple tower defense, and Fortnite was you build a fort and you protect your fort from enemies trying to like come in and attack it. And I liked that. There is a stream somewhere in the ancient depths of my old YouTube channel that I don't really post to anymore where I played Fortnite Save the World, and Battle Royale wasn't even out yet. I spent $40 on Fortnite.
Mm-hmm. Some people spend thousands on it now.
Yeah, but it's free to play, so you can spend your mom's credit card money on V-Bucks.
See, and that's the only reason why I didn't buy it at the time, because whenever it was announced and came out for sale, they're like, okay, so you're buying into the early access, but after a year, we're going to make it free to play. They didn't mention that the free to play was going to be the Battle Royale, not the Save the World, and at that point, I had already lost interest. So
yeah. I wanted to support, because there are games that were in early access for a long time. Like DayZ is one of them that I supported in early access, and they're actual good games now. Still got jank. It's still a Bohemia interactive game. Like you played Arma with me the other day. They're not perfect games. But it's fun.
Ugh, Bohemia.
Still fun. See, I want to circle back to Overwatch real quick because this has just been on my mind. Like I honestly it's not like that big of a deal, but I do feel betrayed because like Overwatch was the game that, like, in the early 2010s on the Xbox 360, everybody would talk to each other in games, right? And it was before skill-based matchmaking was a thing. So you could actually, like, play a game of Halo and then stay in the lobby with those people that you played with before going into the next game. because they didn't care about your skill-based matchmaking. Like in Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, 2009, you could stay in a lobby with the same, 15 other people all night long if nobody left. And the new Call of Duty, after a match is over, if you did really good, they kick you out of that lobby and put you against really good players. And then if you do really bad, they'll kick you out of that lobby and pair you against, players equal to your skill level. And
yeah,
that's
Kyle knows
why
all
lobbies
about that.
that's why lobbies don't stay together anymore. But like the thing that I liked about Overwatch is like, yes, the lobbies disbanded after a match, but people would actually talk. Like a key to winning a game was communicating with your teammates, and I actually made a lot of friends playing Overwatch, and I missed that aspect of social gaming. But now, like with Overwatch 2, after they announced the canning of the PvE experience, the game's kind of just like fallen off, and it got a bunch of news, but it's not the news anybody wanted to hear, right? Like it was negative PR, and I don't see Overwatch recovering from this.
No.
And it's a live service game. So, like, if Overwatch doesn't recover from this blunder and if enough people uninstall, like, does the game continue to survive, or is life support just going to be pulled?
Well, isn't there still a big competitive scene that could keep the game going indefinitely?
Yes.
Yeah, sadly.
But some of those players, like XQC, was an Overwatch streamer for a long time, and he distanced himself from Overwatch. He hardly ever plays anymore.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily justification that the
He was competitive.
game
though,
is
right?
going down. No, but what I'm saying is, like, if you're a content creator, you can't stay on the same thing, otherwise you'll just be drugged down, and whenever that goes out of popularity, you have to fight your way into something else. If you diversify early, then you don't have to fight your way out of a dead
niche
section. Yeah.
Well, so there was a lot of Overwatch creators that were sticking with Overwatch 2 because they still had that slightest bit of hope that the PvE experience would come out. And it's not like they've completely canned everything. Instead of releasing a huge game mode where every hero has all these skill trees and you can play it all in its entirety, they're not cutting all the work they did. They do have in Season 6, I believe, of Overwatch 2, a like story missions coming out. But like once you play the story mission, that's kind of like it.
Well,
that
has me kind of. So what I mentioned earlier about like pulling yourself out of a niche, that made me think of a question that I wanted to ask Matt. How do you think?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, go on. I do think about that sometimes for my own game development journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? Because this is your second game that's going to be a frantic first-person shooter.
I know, and like I said earlier in the podcast episode, like my goal one day is to do like an RPG more in like the Bethesda sort of vein, and I do think about that sometimes, like how I'll make that transition. And I think I'll just do it. Like I'll just make what I want to make, and everything will be fine. Hopefully, hopefully, I'll think about how I tell people. Like, I'll only give people a heads up. Like, hey, my next game, it's not going to be a super fast shooty game. It might be swords instead, a little slower.
Hey.
Well, hey, as a fan of the Elder Scrolls, we are starved for new content.
Sure,
so
yeah.
if you get that game out before the Elder Scrolls 6, and it's a solid, maybe not massively open world game, but if it's a solid RPG with skill trees and good combat, and it's not like Skyrim had good combat, but if the combat feels better than
Good
Skyrim,
enough.
like
Yeah.
if you make a Skyrim-inspired RPG before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, there is a large community of fans looking for something just like that, myself included.
Yeah.
Like, talking about GTA 6 taking a long time, like, where's Elder Scrolls 6?
And it's funny because studios are always like copying each other. Like, how many GTA clones did there used to be, and whatever. Like, how many Overwatch clones are there? And like, where's the like Skyrim clone?
Well,
it doesn't.
Avowed.
The clone.
Avowed is being worked on by Obsidian.
I'm not
yeah.
familiar.
And it's been teased a couple of times, and it's like an Obsidian developed, which is the team that made New Vegas, Skyrim inspired RPG with like magic and swords and stuff. But we haven't seen anything from that game since maybe 2019, 2020. So it's been a while. But maybe next month we'll see gameplay or something at the Xbox Showcase. And then the PlayStation Showcase is this Wednesday, by the way. So we're definitely going to have some topics to talk about for the next podcast in regards to the PlayStation Showcase. I really hope Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I'm excited.
Or The Last of Us multiplayer too.
I'll finally turn on my PS5 again, man. Finally, I haven't played it since God of War Ragnarok. There's finally going to be a new exclusive, man.
Mine's just being a glorified Apple TV at the moment.
No games, man.
No.
Well, let's go ahead and call it there.
1 hour and 1 minute.
Yeah. It's not our longest episode, but goodness.
That's true.
I don't think we could ever pull off a WAN show, like a 5-hour WAN show.
Oh, and by the way, that they also do it live.
Yeah, they also do their WAN shows live, and their longest one is about 5 hours.
Yeah, I think they've kind of course corrected with that. I don't think I've seen. They're getting shorter. Shorter. It's the last one was like 3.5 hours. So
yeah, well,
shorter.
the way they cut it is WAN show and then WAN show after dark, where they answer all of like the merch messages that come through the show. But yeah, so Matt, it's been a wonderful, wonderful time. After
likewise
all these, I think it's 2-3 years now that we've been.
Yeah, about 2, yeah.
But yeah, as always, I am Caleb Boudreaux, the editor-in-chief of AnExtraordinaryLife.online, and we have the other 2 junkies, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Ryan, or Release Radar on YouTube.
And Kyle.
Hi, I'm Kyle, also known as Space Not everywhere.
Yeah. And like I said, the very special guest is Matt Larrabee, the developer of Severed Steel and Echo Point Nova. Yeah, so where could everyone find you, Matt?
Yeah, so I post about my games on Twitter pretty often. That's at MattWLA. And if you just Google Echo Point Nova or Severed Steel, the Steam page should be the first result. And generally, Steam is the best place to. If you're, I'm assuming people are PC gamers. Maybe they're not. So if you're an Xbox or Nintendo or PlayStation gamer, Severed Steel is also on all of those consoles, and maybe Echo Point Nova eventually. But hoping for a Steam release later this year for that game.
That's awesome. So you said there was a demo coming out. When can people expect it?
Yeah, so Steam Next Fest is in June. So about a month from now, I'll be part of Next Fest. So there'll be a bunch of demos on Steam. Be sure to check mine out. It'll be a little, maybe like 40 minutes of single player or co-op first-person shooter action. You got a grappling hook, you got a hoverboard, you got all sorts of guns, you got explosions, you got an open world, you got things to find. So if that sounds like your kind of game, check it out.
Oh, weird. I don't know about these guys, but I am definitely looking forward to it.
I'll play the demo for sure.
You said there's going to be co-op during the demo?
You guys can play it. Absolutely.
Caleb, let's go.
How many people in the co-op?
4-player co-op. Yeah.
Dude,
all 3 of us.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect.
This is our new one.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Still need to record that Boundary video.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Still don't have Boundary.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
It's been a pleasure. And bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
So yeah, this is something we do all the time. It's fun. It's my one time a week.
All right, I'm recording.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, we talk.
Hey, we're good.
We talk during the credits there, Kyle. We talk during the credits there, sir. We do this every week, guys. We do this every week.